My name is Jeff Brooks, and welcome to the Union County Board of County Commissioners presents AI Unleashed. And it is an honor to be here. I see we have a beautiful audience. It's a packed room. We have refreshments here and a lot of curious minds. So without any further ado, because we have been waiting for a little bit, I'm going to introduce a remarkable leader in this county. Her name is Vice Chairwoman Lourdes Leon.
This is not me, artificial intelligence. I'm a bot, I'm a clone. So the real me is at another event right now. Good morning, everyone. As Union County Commissioner Vice Chairwoman, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Okay, I would also like to acknowledge our fellow commissioners that are visiting this morning with us, Commissioner Al Mirabella, Commissioner Betty Jane Kowalski, Commissioner Michelle Dellisford, and our surrogate, Chris Hudak. I would also like to thank Jeff Brook from the Office of Business Development, who created and did all the work to do this great event, and Dina Messeras. Thank you. And lastly, I would also like to acknowledge Elizabeth Board of Education Commissioner Isaias Rivera. Our Union County Means Business Initiative is committed to creating economic growth and development within our community. Today's event, AI Unleashed, embodies our dedication to providing resources and opportunities for our businesses to thrive. Artificial intelligence is quickly revolutionizing the modern workplace. It is a driving innovation and greatly transforming many industries. It is important that we as a county, as business owners, managers, and entrepreneurs understand the potential that AI offers us and use it to propel our endeavors to new heights. Join us for engaging discussions, network with professionals, and learn from our AI experts. We're going to spend today exploring how AI can boost efficiency, simplify processes, and create new opportunities for work. Let's work together to make sure AI advancements benefit everyone in our community. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator today for the panel portion of the event, Mr. Drew Thompson. Drew is the founder of Console Drew LLC, which is a pioneer business coach known for expertise in using AI to empower solopreneurs. With his extensive background in marketing and a unique approach to coaching, Drew is well equipped to guide today's discussion and help us unlock the full potential of AI. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Drew Thompson to the stage.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. So, just show of hands real quick. How many people have kids? How many people have 3? Okay, everybody's hand went down first, a couple people. So you understand, oh my God, I had 3 kids. No one told me how hard it was gonna be. No one told me that it would be continuous arguments about crazy, stupid things with my wife. I have a point to my story. So this morning, my wife and I, she got angry that I put up the bowls on the top part of the dishwasher. Apparently, you gotta put them on the bottom because it'll break the dishwasher. Yeah, see, yeah, you're saying yes. I didn't know that. But this sprung into like this major fight. Now, my wife always wins these fights. But, as of October and November of last year, I discovered something called artificial intelligence. Now, all I do is pull it up on my phone, and what happens? Well, let me just show you. So this was from this morning. What I'm gonna do, and I highly recommend everybody do this is an app called Pi, Personal Intelligence. It's trained on the Socratic problem-solving method, and it's trained on empathy. When I tell you this is like your personal therapist in a box or a marriage counselor, it is amazing. Let me just show you. Now, I'm going to push a button. I'm going to talk to Pi just like she's right here in the room with us. And I'm doing a live demo, which I never really do, but let's just see if this works. Ready? Hey, so earlier today, my wife and I got in an argument. She said I'm a terrible husband because I put the bowls on the top of the dishwasher. She thinks I don't do enough for the kids. I work too much. She's going to leave me, and then I'll be alone. I am just so freaking out about this. Can you just tell me right now, how can I text or call my wife and win the argument?
Oh no, that's tough, Drew. Arguments in relationships can be tricky, especially when they're over something that seems small but really represents larger issues. Here's a suggestion for a text or phone call to your wife. Hey babe, I've been thinking about our argument earlier today, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry. I realize now that the way I loaded the dishwasher wasn't the real issue, and I want to talk about how we can work together to make sure we're both feeling heard and appreciated. You and the kids mean everything to me, and I don't want to lose that. Can we talk about how we can make things better? Remember, it's not about winning the argument, but about finding a solution that works for both of you.
Okay, so here's what I did. Is that not, that's scary, right? And it's amazing. So here's what I did. I took that, I copy pasted it into a text, and I sent it to her. And I put the phone down, I turned up my music, and I'm driving around, just waiting for that text back, or maybe just like a heart emoji or something that says, I love you so much. No, I get a phone call. I'm like, she must really accept this apology. No. I answer the phone, and I go, hey, sweetheart. She goes, don't you ever use artificial intelligence when you argue with me, you asshole. My point is, she knows that I use AI to fight, so she's trained to make sure AI works against me. But isn't this cool, guys? When you work smarter and harder, you work faster. This is going to do the work for you. Now, we have an amazing panel of people that are far smarter than I am in this field. I am a business coach. Entrepreneurs think they have to go it on their own. I harness generative artificial intelligence so you can work smarter and harder, increase your efficiency and creativity. But these guys are real stars of the show. Now, I'm going to hand everything over to each one of them so they can introduce themselves. First up, we have in the left corner, coming in from Google, Hans. You want to introduce yourself, buddy?
Yes, hi, I'm Hans Florval. I'm a Googler, which I don't know what that means.
Try now.
Hello? There you go, thank you.
Gotcha.
Hans Florval, I work for Google, and what I do at Google is pretty interesting. I manage the global IBM relationship, so all the products that IBM sells on Google Cloud, I manage that, and so I spend my day talking to customers about the art of the possible. What's interesting about my role is IBM was one of the first companies to launch a commercial AI product called Watson X. It's pretty legacy right now, but what's interesting about Watson X is it contains a ton of data. So what I do is, in the course of my day-to-day in selling IBM services, I enrich that with our AI capabilities, which is much more robust, which wraps around it and makes Watson X much more pervasive.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks, Hans. Latasha? Letitia, I was close. Letitia, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
I love your smile, by the way.
Thank
It's
you.
so warm. Tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Letitia Gaither. I have about 15 years in sales. I worked in tech companies like Google, as well as Cisco, and now I help small businesses grow and scale, as well as automate, so using some things like AI to be able to buy themselves back more time. I also work with a lot of companies to do leadership development trainings and workshops. I've done them for companies like Google as well. So nice to meet you all and excited to be here.
Dr. Joyner.
Hi, my name is Dave Joyner. I'm the Associate Dean for Integrative Science and Technology here in the Hennings College for Science at Kane. We're very interested in how we think about and train the workforce for the future that's going to be able to put all these technologies into place. For my own personal background, I describe myself as once upon a time having been an astrophysicist before somewhere along the way getting more involved in the computing aspects of computational astrophysics and the data aspects, and realizing that computing is computing wherever we do it. Data is data no matter what. no matter what the data is, and we're all facing a lot of the same challenges there. But I would like to say, you're absolutely wrong. The fight was about the bulls. You should never put them on the top shelf.
That's a very good point. I've learned my lesson since, and not to use AI when fighting.
So guys, I want to start things off today. The first question, AI. Are you using this in your day-to-day life? And if so, how? And I'll start with you.
Yeah, so as part of my core day-to-day, I leverage AI quite a bit. It's called eating our own dog food. It's a Googleism. I use AI to really generate simple emails, not quite as intense as you did, Drew, because our customers definitely filter to make sure it's really me. But yeah, I use AI to just help me streamline processes. So I manage a lot of customer engagements, a lot of sales numbers, and what AI does is it takes all that data and puts it in a structure, and I could create graphs instantly where it would take me hours to create just a presentation. I can do it now in 15 minutes, and you still have to go through and scrub it and personalize it because AI tends to be a little sterile and it looks a little too clinical, and folks are like, hey, that's not really you, so that's the trick. But yeah, so that's how I leverage AI most of the time.
I want to just go on this for a second. With that extra time that you gain back from not doing presentations, how are you redeploying that time back into your work?
Well, I'm much more efficient because the day-to-day interactions of our jobs typically involve, in my role, customer engagement and understanding the outcome they're looking to solve for. The operational efficiencies I gain back gives me more time to spend with my customers, engaging and understand how I can help them consume the products and services versus spending hours on operational rigor to build out the process. So,
Letitia, when you use AI with clients, can you walk me through it? There's a lot of fear with AI. Can you kind of walk me through your perspective on that?
Yeah, well, when I was working at Google, I actually covered media and entertainment companies. So I think the fear can be real, where people are wondering, like, is my job going to be impacted by AI? Or are they going to eliminate me because now AI exists? And I think that is a real, true thing. Like, it can happen. But do I think AI is better than us? No, it's not. So I think some things, yes, although jobs can be eliminated and clients can be challenged by these things, we can still have skills and things that are beneficial and make it so that AI cannot replace us because we can do things that AI cannot. So I'm always a proponent of sharing that with my clients of what things do you have? What unique skills can you share? How can you add value in a way that AI cannot? And I think that's how I'm using it with my clients, is allowing them to see the beauty in using AI to do things that help them, but also understanding there's value that they can create that AI cannot.
Dr. Joyner, you look like you're chomping at the bit over here. Will AI, let's just go straight to the meat of this, will AI take our jobs?
I don't think so. Certainly not right away. What I see is that AI can make people much more productive, right? If I see it, whether it's what we're doing with our students, what I do in my own work and my own research, if we think about what you can do with AI, and I'm trying to think about what aspects we want to talk about. First and foremost, I think about search, right? And that seems kind of really obvious, but imagine how things changes when we go from how we used to search, which is you search for other people's answers to other people's problems, and you have to assimilate it yourself and think about, what does this mean to me now? That you can now ask the problem you want to ask directly and get an answer to your problem. Now you can start teaching yourself things. You can find solutions. We've seen this in the tech world right away with ideas of code co-pilots, things like this. Hey, I need to create this solution. Can I do it real fast? Can I get some templates, some prototypes to work with? Can I build around this? So as people become more efficient, they're going to be able to do more work. And I think there are going to be some industries where the answer is, well, if I can get twice as much work out of my employees, I can use half as many employees. Mm-hmm. But I think most companies are going to see that if I can get twice as much work out of my employees, I can outcompete other people around me and do twice as much work with the same number of employees. So really where we want to be is, how do we understand what we can do with a greater level of efficiency to move businesses forward?
I love that you said that too, because you can do more with less, right? I think this, from a small business perspective, it gives the smaller businesses a chance to compete with the larger ones, right? Because now you're going to have a team of 4 that could do the work of a team of 8.
You can have them trained to be, experts in copywriting, experts in marketing strategy, but there's a reason I say that, because ethics comes into play, right? These machines understand A to B or A to Z. They don't understand the ethical ramifications of going to all these different places. So how do you see ethics, and where does this come into your view about AI? Go ahead, Hans.
No, that's a great point. So from an ethics perspective, can everybody hear me?
There we go.
Okay, so from an ethics perspective, that's a great question. So I spend most of my time working in highly regulated industries. And AI is actually a powerful tool to help augment the ethical conversation. So what we do is, it's called large language models. So what I do is, for every industry I work with, so if it's FSI, which is financial services, if it's HCLS, healthcare, life sciences, or what we call PubSec, there are different rules of engagement, so your do's and don'ts from an engagement perspective. So I feed all those regulatory regulations into my language model, and when I'm engaging with that customer base, the AI tells me, here's what you can do, here's what you can't. So even in creating my email, it filters in against the current regulations, and it ensures that I am compliant. So from an ethical perspective, you can leverage AI to keep you current and compliant with all your engagement models.
What's your take on, so if I just watched the Google conference last week, right? You have so many cool products that are coming out. If you guys haven't watched it, it was the Google I/O.
I/O, yeah.
Yeah, the I/O, they're releasing an AI that can produce video just like Sora does with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You know what? Just Google it. Just Google.
Perplexity.
Google is coming out with. It did not mean to lie. But when we train these models, right, we're giving them our data, and they're training on our data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Letitia, you're giving up all of your company's information into the cloud to these AIs. Has that ever come up as an issue or a thought, just because there's a lot of fear around AI?
Yeah, I think you have to be particularly careful when you're going to put your input into these resources, because then your data is then there. So essentially, if someone else goes and uses ChatGPT after you have, it could potentially share some of the information or the data that you've input. So I think you just want to make sure, if there's information that's proprietary or something that you're building out that's new, and it's a business idea you have, you just want to be careful about what information you put in. But you can always be smart. As long as you're coming up with appropriate prompts and being smart in how you input, you can get back what you need to be able to leverage it and be more productive in your day-to-day.
Dr. Joyner, what are some common myths that you want to dispel about AI?
I think a lot of people are expecting Skynet right around the corner. I think there's a lot of myths about what we mean by intelligence, both what we mean by artificial intelligence and what we mean by human intelligence as well. And that ultimately, what we're looking at is tools to help us optimize problems better, how to search better. And, from the standpoint of the myths around the dangers of AI, I don't think the danger is the machine. We can pull the plug on the machine pretty easily. The danger is the people, right? There are bad actors out there, and I think we do have to be concerned about the ethical ramifications of not giving tools to people who will do bad things with them. But I think the technology itself is fundamentally, it's a machine. It's not thinking necessarily in the way that you or I do. It's probably not going to decide someday it just wants to get up and make itself some toast and some coffee, right?
Yet.
Not yet. But the other thing about that, and I think in terms of fears of what AI can do, is I think sometimes we look at, say, the AI pins or smart devices and where they've been able to pack it in a small form factor. Training these models and running them on an industry scale takes massive amounts of computing power. So there have to be a lot of humans in the chain of things to make the choice of how to train the models and how to run the servers and how to allow connectivity to it. So we're not going to have a thinking machine walking around us with, no connection to human oversight anytime soon. I don't think.
So here's my thought on that, and I want to relay this back because we're all here. Can I just show of hands? How many people are small business owners? So quite a few of you. How many of you are business leaders inside of a company? Right? Quite a few of you. So let's get really tactical with something that they can use. Now this is going to be either for your personal life or for work. I'll give you an example. I hired a babysitter, and I did not want that babysitter putting the kids in front of the TV. So what did I do? I went to ChatGPT 4, okay? And I asked it, so there are two models, 3 and 4, we can talk about that, and Google's Gemini. And I said, pretend you are a Montessori expert. Create me a schedule for my kid every 30 minutes with something to do, use things around the house. And it created the schedule. And then I handed it to the babysitter. And I watched on our camera, she did everything. Now, it's neither here nor there that she quit 4 weeks later. But the point is, my kids weren't sitting in front of the TV, right? So I think that's a dad win, okay? Working smarter and faster and harder. Let's use that to set the table right now. If you 3 are sitting with one of these small business owners and they say, oh my God, I wear 150 hats, how can AI come in? Let's get super tactical, Hans. They've got a consult with you. What are you telling them?
Well, first I want to understand what outcome they're looking to solve for, right? So it's
Can you say that one more time?
what outcome you're looking to solve for. You can wear 150 hats. Which are the 10 or the 20 that you need to get rid of because it's not your core competence? Let's focus on that. Part of the job of an AI, the tooling, is it's a tool to help you drive efficiency, and you have to think of what's the art of the possible. So think of your wish list, what you want to do, and it's my job to really make that come to fruition. For example, when I sit with somebody in, let's say, the retail space, what's the thing that keeps you up at night the most? So like batch processing your credit cards to remain compliant. I'm like, okay. That's an easy fix. Give me something harder because I can definitely leverage AI to do that. We capture endpoint data. You want to collect the data as soon as possible, make sure it's not being compromised or hacked. So we talk to your security model, your prospects, and it's an easy fix. So it's really understanding what are your pain points. You're wearing multiple hats, you're doing two, but what are you looking to solve for? What are you doing to get there, and how can I give you the easy button to scale and leverage AI when necessary? Now, there are a couple of things that I think that we spoke about around the fear and the FUD out there around AI. The language, your data is your data. You can train your data and it's not going to be corrupt in ChatGPT or Gemini or in the other services, because what's happening is you're just creating an API connection with your data. It's training it, it's tuning it, and then you get the answer, and then when it goes back, it's not taking your data with it. So you control your data. It's called the walled garden model, and you're tuning your stuff. And you're leveraging the engine to create the outcome for you. So it's really understanding the process and solving for what you're looking for.
Thanks for that clarity. A lot of the times when I'm working with clients, they say, Drew, we don't want to put our P&L into ChatGPT. So that's consistently the conversation. What if I told you, I don't want to put my retail data in there. I'm afraid it's going to get taken and someone else could search for it. What's your answer?
Your retail data stays on-prem. You're just leveraging the tooling of ChatGPT to take a look at that data, give you an answer, and then it goes back. Basically, it's ephemeral, so it connects, you do your tuning on-prem, and then you use that core engine to do the analysis where it gives you an answer, but it doesn't take any of your PII, your customer private data, back with it. And that's the point about leveraging AI wisely, because as I think my fellow panelists said, the thing that keeps me up at night is security and the threat actors. So as much as we leverage AI for good, the bad guys are using it to hack all your stuff. So you have to train AI to fight AI, because if you're going to try to stop an AI-based brute force attack by yourself, yeah, good luck with that. So you have to be smart in how you control your content, because when we're talking about AI is just a tool. Your data is still key. You want to control your data and manage your data and secure that.
Letitia, who's your ideal client? Like, who do you work with mainly?
I work with either large companies or small businesses.
Any specific industry?
With tech clients mostly.
Okay, so tech clients. So you're sitting with let's just say a CSO, chief sales officer of a tech company. They come to you. They know that you are the AI expert. Let's walk through that consultation. What are you doing?
I think I'd actually like to do it for the folks here. if
That's
I may.
even better.
Just for like small business owners, because I think they'd be able to leverage that information. But I think as a small business owner, the thing that's the most valuable resource you have, what is it? Can anybody tell me what's your most valuable resource? Time, exactly, time. So I would ask you, where are you spending the most time? And how can you leverage AI to be able to spend less time doing things that don't need your brain and manpower? So how I leverage that and what I help my clients do is, if you're wanting to market your business as a single business owner, you're spending all this time in marketing. How can you leverage ChatGPT or other resources to do this? Can you create social media posts? I made a LinkedIn the other day. If you go and look on my LinkedIn page, I said make a post, make it engaging, share that I was part of International Coaches Week, use emojis. Like, these are all things I put in my ChatGPT prompt to create this post. Now I then have this post. It was created in 30 seconds. I'm an overthinker. I would have spent like a tremendous amount of time just creating this long post. But it's like, if you put in the prompts, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like me. I'm like, okay, make it engaging, make it relevant for my audience, which is small businesses. Talk about their challenges. You can modify the post if you don't like the first one. So it's like, how do you take those things where you're spending a lot of time or overthinking and leverage ChatGPT or other Gemini or other resources of AI to help you be more efficient?
Okay, so what I heard you say, and I love that you said that because we're about to have like an AI geek out session right now, is that it's about how you talk to the AI, right? It's a conversation over and over and over and over again. Like, for instance, you ever use Claude?
No.
Which is Anthropic's version. I suggest you try it because it's a different large language model. If you guys go to claude.ai, and it will give you a different output. It's really good to use. Now, what I've noticed is that the more I tell it that it's doing good, and for a quick side note, I put in every single prompt, I love you, my name is Drew Thompson, my address is this, so that one day when they take over the world, I don't die, okay? But the more I tell it affirmations, honestly, I'd be like, hey, this was a great output, I want to change a little bit of this, can you do it differently? Great job. It's weird because it gives me better output, and it says, hey, thanks, and it doesn't throttle my usage, which makes me think that these AIs are becoming aware, right? That we're getting closer to something called artificial general intelligence. Dr. Joyner, you are the former astrophysicist. So I've got so many questions, but the first one I want to go in, Paul's on the AGI, you're in education. These tools are going to redefine what it means to learn. From an education perspective, like, talk to me. What do you think? Do we need schools? Like, talk to me.
So I think the thing that AI really gives us in that sense is the ability, and I said before, to ask your own questions, to teach yourself things. But you fundamentally do need to know what questions to ask. So I think it can change how we think about inquiry. The more that we can move education away from rote learning and trying to learn from the standard canon to being very project focused, being inquiry focused. And I think AI will help those sorts of things happen. So I got a lot of students doing coding projects. And, they could go into a textbook and learn a sorting algorithm, or they can, have ChatGPT or something like it at their side, and I can say, I want a web front end to help us access this data we're working on. It needs to have this, 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 and I want a window that does that. And let them use those tools to be much more productive, to teach themselves how to do it. But still, fundamentally, they've got to learn how to do it, and they've got to be responsible for the end product. The question I always like to ask, especially if I kind of go back to the science side of things, when we're using computers to do science, is at some point you got to ask the question, how do you know you're right? Why do you think you're right? And those questions still require critical thinking. They still require a knowledge of the field. You're never going to get away from that. But the tools, I think, can allow us to be much more customized and much more inquiry-based in education.
Are we familiar with artificial general intelligence? We know the term. So can you explain what AGI is? I'm getting a little bit in the clouds here, but just explain what the future of artificial intelligence is.
Okay, there are two different variants. So you have hypermodal AI and AGI. Hypermodal AI, think of it as an AI that sits the one above all, right? So it interacts with everything. The most complicated language to learn is what? Show of hands. Most complicated language, machine language, right? Because all the machines speak a different language. Your servers talk a different language than your routers. Your endpoints talk a different language. So hypermodal AI will sit on top, and it'll do all the translating. It'll create the models, and it feeds it to an AGI, which is a little deeper, because then it could process that and come up with a user-based outcome, which is the questions that you're asking it. So AI is really complicated. Think of how your brain works and all the inputs that we have. We are probably the most complex computer out there ever created. And what we're trying to do by leveraging AI is replicate that process in a systemic way that makes sense, so we can process information faster. So that was my high level.
No, I appreciate that. And if I were to go on the internet, let's just go into marketing, Letitia, for a second. If I go on the internet right now and I search for something, Google is going to give me back its answer, right? It's not going to necessarily pop the websites to the top of a search page that have better SEO, search engine optimization. It's just going to give me its answer. Do you know what I'm saying? How is that going to affect search and internet and how people get to websites and traffic? I gave you a lot there, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I think it could change the way we do search, just in terms of like efficiency, like the amount of information you had to go to search and research publications and links and all of these things in the past. You'll have this information like readily available and at your fingertips pretty quickly. So I think it will potentially decrease the amount of searches necessary to get the information that you need. Yeah.
Dr. Joyner, future of AI. What is it?
The future of AI, I think, is having customized solutions at your fingertips, having access to all of your data readily available, and to be able to automate the way we solve problems. Going beyond large language models, I think, one of the big questions out there is what happens when we start seeing the advances we're expecting in quantum computing. And now you combine, optimization with quantum computing in terms of finding the best solution to something quickly with processes that really understand how to pose those problems, how to think through things, and what your data is. To me, that's the 15 years from now. Where are we? Is the ability to do problem optimization far beyond what we do now. It'll make operations research look like a thing of the past.
Okay, so you blew my mind with 98% of what you were saying. Can we tone it? Can you just bring it down super simple? He's an astrophysicist, ladies and gentlemen.
So I always come back to basically optimization problems. So, from a science standpoint, I think of it as function minimization. I want to find a line of best fit. And maybe I want to do that on steroids, but that's still the end goal. That's the task. But if we think about, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately in terms of business processes and what was the revolution in terms of technology where we could say, hey, let's look at, multiple areas in terms of, fixed cost and per unit cost, and how do we combine those things and think about how we change, worldwide shipping to make sure that you've got the right widget on hand and just the right number of them. How has that changed the way, say, the Amazonification of business, right? What happens when that goes from being able to take, linear processes, here's a fixed cost and here's a per unit cost, to fully nonlinear things, where now we can think about all of that in very different ways, right? And we can take the sorts of ways we describe our data models, and instead of it being one shape, let it be any shape it needs to be, and have the computing power to find the best way to do that. I think that's going to produce a revolution that will be really interesting, because from a mathematical standpoint, finding where a curve has its lowest point sounds kind of like a boring thing, but That's how we find out, the right number of parts to order and ship to a certain place. That's how we figure out the right dosage to give a patient. That's how we find out the right, drug to bond with a certain protein and make people healthier. I'm really interested in optimization problems 10 years down the line.
Letitia, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to share like a real life example. Like you mentioned Google I/O that took place. Like they talked about last week how the future of AI will look and what that will do for us in terms of just even how we do things in our everyday functionality. Like they talked about how, say you're going to get a contractor and you're going to be redoing your bathroom and you were doing this over time. And you said, okay, I pulled these 3 different contractors and I want to compare the prices. Now I have to go back through my emails. I have to find all the quotes I had. I have to see which one was more expensive. I have to see which ones were able to actually do all the jobs I requested. They were talking about pulling all this information from your email using AI resources and telling AI, like, pull all the quotes, tell me how much they were, put it in a table, tell me who was able to do which pieces of this, and being able to gather all this information for you so that you don't have to go back and manage these things by yourself. So effectively, you have your own project management tool now where it's doing all of these things for you. And think about the beauty of that, where you're spending so much time, oh, I have to go pull this, I have to remember who sent it, oh, I'm searching this word, it's not coming up. For someone to do all that work for you is incredible. And I think that's the beauty of AI, is that we can leverage these things to be able to even have everyday efficiency. They also talked about doing a return. Like, how much time do we spend on the phone with Amazon or making a return? Or, oh, now I have to go see where the order number is. Oh, now that's not the right order number. I have to go to the other email and grab it. And they talked about how in the future, AI will do this for us. It'll pull in the order number. It'll actually allow you the option of setting up a UPS pickup for tomorrow. So all of these beautiful things that can come from AI and just like real world examples of how we'll be able to leverage them.
I love it when you bring, because like I just feel ready to just jump into an AI geek out session, because there's a thing called autonomous agents that will be coming in AI. Basically, an AI that will do everything for you. Say, I need to book a trip to Disney World. Cool, here's my budget, here's when I want to leave. All of a sudden, it books the hotel, it books the flight, it books everything for you and says, hey, here's your itinerary, go have fun. But I'm curious what your take on this, because at the Google I/O conference, they said that Gemini Ultra is going to be across all of the Google apps, right. Which, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in Gmail and I try and search something, it is a nightmare. I can't find anything, but now that AI is going to be in there.
Correct.
Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, so our AI is going to be layered through all our products and services. So think about it, your assistant on steroids. So in the example Letitia gave about just searching through and finding the data points you need to come up with an outcome. But let's go a little deeper than that. Think about it, let's say you're a small business owner, and you've been doing research for months to come up with pricing for your products against your competitors. Well, what about if your assistant has access to all your data, and they can do more research and also go out and leverage Google, leverage Perplexity and all the other search engines to get publicly known information about products and services and come up with a pricing model that makes sense to you and give you all the data points as to how they came up with that. So you go from being efficient to say, hey, why should you trust the data? Well, it's your data, but it's also paired with real-time publicly available data to say, here's why you should price this at $1.25 because your competitors are pricing it 10% higher, and here's what your profit margin will be. That's how we're thinking about leveraging these digital assistants, and this is what it means to have full access and visibility across your entire data set in the Google platform.
So between our panelists and the commissioners and Jeffrey and Dina, we wanted to give you something that you could go use. We've all talked about a prompt together. So I want you all to write this down. If you notice, we put notepads right in front of all of you so you can write this down. Today, I want you to just go back, and I want you to go into chat, Google, you pick it, and throw up Perplexity. Love that you brought that up. Okay, I want you to say this. Pretend you are an expert in, and then you're going to insert whatever field or profession you do. Pretend that you're an expert in, I'm trying to remember the exact one that we came up with, guys. Pretend that you're an expert in, insert field, comma, tell me how you can help me work smarter. This is a very open-ended prompt. Because what you're going to find is the machine is going to talk to you. It's going to say, I can help you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now you continue that conversation, right? Hans, do you think, oh, this is going to be a conversation for another time, but I was going to say, do you think Perplexity still is around in a couple years? I don't see them. Perplexity is another AI tool. But I see Google, I see Amazon, I see Tesla, I see the big players who also have access to data and wearables really excelling in this space and being able to make AI accessible to all the people in the world.
Right. So I think that there's definitely a lot of room for different companies to come up with their own algorithm to slice the data differently and make it more conversational to digestible. Will Perplexity be around for the next couple of years? I think so, but they'll probably be folded under and acquired by another company because they've got some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, their AI model is very unique when it comes to search, and it has a learning engine that will learn Drew's behaviors, my behaviors. So when it sees I'm interacting with it, it keeps a record. Hey, Hans typically search for this. Here's what he likes to look at. So let me skew the findings so it meets Hans's requirements. That's where we're getting more into the human condition. And if the better we can interact with AI and it interacts with us, the better outcome we'll achieve and faster.
I love that. And to that point, right, so it will start to skew the information for Hans, for Letitia, for Dr. Joyner, for myself. It's going to be up to us to look at other places to get that information from too, so you have a full 360-degree view on issues and topics, whether they're in the news or in life. But Letitia, I'm curious, how are you working with clients right now and saying, here's a tool for you to go use chat, go use Claude? Are you telling them to use it on their phone? What kind of instructions are you giving them?
Yeah, I think for me, I like to use it on my computer just because you have all the stuff
Why?
readily available. Because you can pull in more things to be able to leverage. Closer? Okay, thanks. So I think I prefer to use it on my computer just because you have other things at your disposal. Like whether you want to pull in your own information from your business, like brand photos, tables, whatever you have available, you can pull those things in and use them in ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI tool you're using. So to be able to leverage your own data, you usually have it on your computer. So that's how I'm having clients do it, is to use it on your computer and then be able to pull in as much information as possible so then you get the best outputs.
Love it. Hey guys, is this helpful, yes or yes? Guys, that was like quiet. You put you all to sleep. Is this helpful, yes or yes? Okay, I just want to do something really quick before we go into it. I'm going to ask questions. You guys are going to be open panel. Let them ask questions here. It's my Aunt Rosalie's birthday. Can I just hold this up and you guys all say happy birthday real quick? Ready? On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday!
That's going to make her day. Thank you so much. Jeff, this is cool. I just want to walk around and get some questions from the audience. Guys, pretend right now you have these 3 incredibly intelligent people and this over-caffeinated man with the mic going around and they're consulting just for you. What kind of questions? I'm going to go over here to the first one. Hold on.
Hi, good morning. Okay. So two questions. The first is, I use ChatGPT. I run things through there, and I see the weaknesses of it. I mean, it's not a human, it's not a technical writer, but it does idea generation, planning trips to Disney. So I'm seeing where the weak points are, but I know how to overcome that because I have a human brain. My question is, do the same kind of weak points exist in coding, and do you have someone prove your coding? Or does coding work differently than trying to craft an essay that will get people to donate money to your charity? Not sure. So there's that question. That's my first question.
Okay. Did you guys hear the question?
You did, yeah.
Absolutely the same weaknesses exist in coding. And especially when things get more complicated. Because for me, coding is a very iterative process. I want to start with a question, and let's say I ask ChatGPT to write me a Python script to do a certain piece of analysis, which I'll probably do twice a day. And sometimes it's right the first time, but usually not. So generally it's a process of going through and asking and adding more features and thinking about different things. And over time, that sort of memory that the tool has becomes problematic, and it starts to forget where the question initially started. I see this a lot, particularly with ChatGPT doing this. In the best situation, yeah, the human has to be there to correct the mistakes. I mean, I'm so impressed with what the tool does, but you need a human who understands the processes. It can help someone who knows what they're doing do it better, but if you put someone who doesn't know what they're doing and just trusts it to do it on its own, that's a real dangerous thing.
And guys, just as a heads up, all the panelists and myself, we're all going to stick around afterwards, so if you have questions, you can ask them as well too. But I have another question over here. Hold on. What's your name?
Juanita Dreyer. So my question is, recently I use AI a lot, and I do it on my cell phone. I do it a lot for marketing because I'm in real estate. I do real estate title sales. So it's very helpful, as Letitia said, for me to be able to do my multiple posts on all different platforms, because I say write for Instagram, write for LinkedIn, because they can't always be the same. You have to write it differently. So what I'm confused with not being in this space and knowing a lot about it, is the meta versus AI. Is it the same? Because it's on Instagram now, it's on Facebook now, and mostly you have both AI version on LinkedIn. You have an option to be able to convert your post and send it through the AI so that it can make sure that it's appropriate for the platform. Is there a difference there, or is it the same?
Okay, I want to parse that. So when you say meta, to me, being a technologist, meta to me stands for metadata. And all metadata are snippets of information that doesn't have what's called privacy information. It's just really source data that's just we're getting the top line. Now, when you're working with different services like LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook, what happens is they have their own AI tools, which they use a different model that we discussed, right? So the way the models work, there's some nuanced differences between them, right? So they're different iterations. So if you asked a meta engine to write an article for you and you went to ChatGPT, ideally you would get two different answers. Think of it as two different personas. Because the engine and the code base are different, you would get a different answer. So that's the nuanced differences. So in working with AI, we tend to gravitate towards the engine or the service that closely mirrors what we're looking for as an output, and then we have an affinity for it, just like some people like ChatGPT over Gemini. So it's iterative differences based on the code base and how it's processing the data and the answer it's giving you.
Other questions? I got time for two more. Let's do three more, because someone right back here. Hi, your name? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Hi, Kim Barry. Just wanted to piggyback off of that question. Now that I'm kind of seeing on like the apps that there are a ton of different third-party AI softwares, how do you differentiate like which ones are good, which ones are the most effective? There just seems to be so much that it seems like I'm going to just go down these wormholes and not really get the results that I'm looking for. I'm generally using ChatGPT, but I like to use it more for spreadsheets, things like that. But again, there's so many out there that it's just hard to differentiate how you're really going to get the most success.
I'm going to defer to Letitia, but I just want to let you guys in on a little secret in technology. There's really only 2 or 3 models out there, and what's happening is these other companies are leveraging that code base. They're adding their own language model that I discussed before on top, and you're getting the core ChatGPT. It's really 2, maybe 3, right? It's really our platform, Google's platform. It's ChatGPT, and it's probably one of the iterations from Meta, which is Facebook, right? That's out there, and then everybody's laying their own language model on top, and it's looking unique, but the core is typically one of those 3.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say actually use the models and see which one lands best for you. I mean, to plug the models, like use the models to do your research for you. I'm in this industry, I'm in X industry. I'm looking to work with this target client base. Which AI tool would be most beneficial for me? Let them do the research for you. That's the beauty of now having these tools, is leverage the information there and the resources to do that work for you, but also training the model to know, like, I'm in this industry. I'm looking to work with this target audience, and putting in the information that's specific to you so you get the tool that's best for you.
One thing I'd like to add, plus one to what Letitia said, trust but verify, right? So trust the data, but verify, and also ask it for source data, because there's something in AI called hallucinations. So if you keep asking it, AI will augment the data and give you an answer it thinks you want sometimes, and it may not be the right answer, but it thinks it's right based on the parameters. So trust but verify and the source data. And you can ask it, you say, what's your source base? And it will tell you. If it doesn't, it'll tell you, oops, I made it up. And you say, okay, try again, like a child.
It does say that if you've ever asked. It's funny, it'll tell you if it made it up or if it actually gave you actual data from a source, yeah.
All right, so Dr. Joyner, I have a question here for you. Name?
Stan Robinson, SHR Marketing. As business owners, one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard is talk to AI like you're talking to a smart intern. When folks leave here today, what are 3 things that business owners can do in terms of starting to think about how to use this technology for their business?
So in education, I will say that's a great question, and I want to make sure my other panelists chime in on this, because I think you'll probably have a lot more input from the needs of business owners than a academic like me. But to answer it the best I can, I think that at the surface level, right now, people could be using tools like ChatGPT to just really simply think about the way you train yourself and automate tasks. Particularly, if I think about, what are the things that are fairly repetitive but fairly human intensive? Writing tasks. If I could avoid ever writing a letter of recommendation ever again in my life, completely by myself, I will. And I will say there's one that the first time I did that, I will never do this another way again. Here are 3 letters I've written in the past. Here is a resume of someone that I want to write a letter of recommendation for. Here are 3 personal anecdotes. Write something in my style, right? And now I've saved myself, an hour of time. So how can you use the tools that are there right now to immediately improve just kind of daily work processes? The more complicated things probably involve, at some point, talking to an architect, right? When you start getting into back-end processes, right? That's a more complicated question, but I think there are really interesting solutions out there. But I'll actually, again, I'm gonna be very upfront. I'm an academic, so I would love to hear what our other panelists would answer to that question.
Well, a couple of things I would take away as a small business owner. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's okay to question AI, but play with it. Get comfortable with it and find your own voice, and find, based on your business model and what you're looking to solve for, use the tools out there and get comfortable with it. The second thing is, think about AI as a very smart child that has a lot of information, but it needs your structure and your guidance. Be specific with the question. So I'm the father to an autistic son, so it made me change the way I look at the world. So I have to be very decisive in my answers to him, because he takes everything I say literally. So think of AI that way. If you ask it for, write me a letter about what? What style? What's the outcome? What are you looking to solve for? What's the letter about? The more specific you are, then it starts to understand you, and then you can create something. And the other thing is, think of your business and think of leveraging AI, and look at AI as a tool to help you scale. But look for the outcomes you want first. What is your most critical outcome? Don't use that. Use something that you know well. Get comfortable with AI. And then once you become more comfortable working with the tool, get into the more complex solutions you're looking to solve for, because it's a learning process. That's what would be my takeaway.
All right, I have one last question here, James.
In my past life, I did a lot of data scraping, back in 2013, and tracking of airplanes and things along those lines for my past life. One of the things that is now more of a concern for me is copyright, where that information's coming from, how you're handling just identifying where the sources were from, because people are going to start taking this information as their own. And how do you see that progressing through Gemini, ChatGPT at this point, and the best way to protect any company or business from getting into any type of copyright infringement or problems along those lines?
Well, that's a great question. So a couple of things there. The services that we talk about are all getting information from the public domain, right? So it's connected to the internet, it's pulling data, and it's analyzing it. When you're scraping your own data, which we discussed before, and I'll hand it off to Letitia and my other colleagues to talk through, you create what's called a walled garden around that data. So what's happening is that your data is not shared in the public domain. It's protected. So the modeling tools that we use look at your data, they compare it with what's out there, and they come up with an answer for you. So you have to protect your data. There's a bifurcation. Think of it as a firewall. Your data is secure. It's your data. You can train it, you can model it, and then you can use ChatGPT, Gemini, and the other sources for external data to compare and come up with an answer. But as long as you protect your data, if you expose that data to the internet, you're hosed anyway, right? So protect your data. Keep that secure.
Yeah, and I would say in the same way that if you were out in public and you had this amazing idea, you wouldn't be sharing it with everyone because you wouldn't want it to be stolen. You just want to be able to protect your information, and you want to do the same when you're putting it in any of these AI tools or platforms. So if like the person next to you were having a conversation and it was proprietary information, you wouldn't share that with them. So I personally wouldn't share it with AI, or I wouldn't share the specifics. Like maybe I would modify it in some way so like all the details are not there.
Dr. Joyner, anything to add?
Yeah, I think in terms of, part of the question was how do you manage the output of AI to make sure that you're not inadvertently committing acts of copyright infringement or plagiarism. And I think for text, one thing is, this is definitely something we deal with a lot in education, is trying to understand how do we automate looking at student papers, looking at student writing. There are great tools out there for that. I wouldn't be surprised if those don't start becoming more incorporated into the AI tools directly. So we use, Turnitin, right? And every single student paper that gets turned at the university pretty much goes through Turnitin to check and see if it's got similar language from something that's been published anywhere else in the world. I would think that if those tools aren't already embedded into a lot of the front ends for these large language models, I think that seems like an obvious thing that ought to come down the line, is kind of self-plagiarism checking by the tools. The harder thing is also, we worry about this in education, is how do we know if a student has used this kind of carte blanche and just gone crazy with it? And the tools to detect that, I think, are not as good. But there are really great tools out there that could be applied to the output of AI to check and see if it's too close to published works out there.
So everybody here with Union County Means Business, the commissioners, Jeffrey, Dina, we all want to see you succeed. We all want to see you get out there and do things that are just faster, smarter, have a bigger impact in your business and a bigger impact in the community, yes? Yes, awesome. AI is great, and we will all up here scream its praises from now until eternity. But you know what is going to help you sell faster, help you connect with more people? Your story. Your story. AI can help you create posts for Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. But here's what's really going to stand out, and that's you. What makes you, you will connect you to another human. Remember, people do business with people they know, like, and
trust.
Exactly. AI does not have that ability yet to create trust, but it will. So here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to download the chat. I want you to download Google, or I want you to go to Google Gemini, go to meta.ai. You can talk to each of us. We'll give you stacks and tools to use. But I challenge you today, because we are dedicated to your success, I challenge you to pick up your phone. Okay, everybody have a phone? Yeah? Listen, if you have an Android phone, nothing personal. If you have an Android phone, we'll convert you to an iPhone Fridays at 2 o'clock. Just come back here. Just kidding. I want you to pick up the phone, and I want you to record the video today of you talking to the camera like this. So today I went to Union County Means Business talking about AI because I'm dedicated to the people that I serve in my business. I'm so excited to use everything I learned from this amazing group of panelists to work better for you. That's it. Do you see that's a human? That's a human that cannot be replicated by AI. Now, if you guys, did you find value in this? Yes or yes? Yes. One more time, yes or yes? Awesome. Give the panelists a round of applause here. I'd like to hand over the microphone to Jeffrey, who put this entire thing together. Give him a big round of applause for putting this together for you.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give it up for my man, Drew Thompson. Drew, did an incredible job. Did everyone learn something here today? Yes. Good, good, good. Okay, so before we head out, this is a networking event, so you see your neighbor, get to know them, you know, exchange cards, exchange ideas. That's what this is all about today. I also want to give a huge thank you and shout out to our partners in the back. There's a few vendor tables there. We got the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce. We got Union College of New Jersey. I hope I said it right because they changed their name twice in the last year. And we have UCEDC. If you're a small business, they are a great and valuable resource. I know a lot of family members who utilize them. Please check them out. Lastly, we're going to do some testimonials, right, Laura? This gentleman behind the camera, I know he doesn't like to be put on the spot like that. Please connect with him. If you felt like you learned something here today, please share your experience. And then lastly, because Union County has a lot of great events, our flagship event, Union County Women Means Business, is going to take place on June the 11th. We got some dynamic speakers there. Please, please, please check it out. UCNJ.org to register. June 11th at Gallatin Hill. And then, if you're a business owner and you want to have your business displayed with other businesses, network and connect, we have the Business Expo taking place on September the 12th at the Warnaco Sports Complex. Let's give a hand for you today. Let's give a hand for our moderator. Let's give a hand for our panelists, our vice chairwoman, commissioners. Thank you so much. See you next time.